fourth year accompanying Emily for her studies abroad. Suddenly, chaos erupted in Country M. All the international students were rushing to head back home. But right then I lost my passport, and Emily vanished with it. When I was stranded abroad, fearing for my life during the unrest, Emily made it back safely with this junior guy. I saw a photo that this guy posted on social media featuring Emily's profile with a caption mocking, "Amidst the chaos, luckily I have you." After barely surviving all that, I filed for divorce. Emily freaked out. Listening to the busy tone on the phone once more, my arm dropped helplessly. The unrest began again downstairs. Gunfire, screams, and sirens filled the air, leaving me anxious and scared. I hid back in the room, but the next second, I heard the sound of breaking glass from the living room. A stray bullet had just pierced the living room window. I had no idea when this chaos would end, so I just curled up and shut it all out. Most of my peers had already gone back home, away from this troubled place. But without my passport, I couldn't book a plane ticket and was stuck. My passport was kept together with Emily's, but when she left suddenly, I woke up to an empty bedside. Calling her only got me a busy tone. When Emily finally replied, she just brushed it off saying she had something urgent. Without John's social media post, I might have believed she had an emergency that made her forget to take me along. I texted Emily, telling her my passport went with her and now I couldn't leave. She didn't respond for a long time. Our food supply was running low. The chaos downstairs continued. I had planned to go and grab some supplies once things calmed, only to find all our cash missing too, gone back home with Emily. No money meant more than just going hungry. Rent was due soon. Shaking, I repeatedly dialed Emily's number until my phone was at 2% battery. She finally answered with, "In surgery, handle it yourself." Yet, John's latest post showed Emily hanging out with them, not in surgery. Inability to pay rent led to the landlord coldly retrieving his keys, leaving me out on the street. With no battery, my phone died too. Considering the recent news, I prayed to avoid running into any rioters. But of course, things didn't go my way. A gunshot jerked me awake from sleep. Chaos broke out where I was hiding. Bullets whizzed around. Shrinking into a corner terrified, a bullet suddenly shot through my shoulder. Blood gushed before I even realized what happened. No matter how much I pressed on it, blood seeped through my fingers. I was only 25. I didn't want to die abroad. Desperate, I cried out for help, but no one could hear me. Eventually, I passed out. When I woke, the sharp scent of disinfectant filled my nose. I was in a hospital. An auntie who owned a Chinese restaurant had rescued and brought me here. Faced with high medical bills, I'm not sure how I could thank the stranger for offering such warmth in a foreign land. "Leave me your contact details. I need to pay you back." "No worries, money isn't the issue." "Young man, why haven't you gone back home yet?" My passport got lost. I can't go back now." After hearing my predicament, the auntie helped me get a new passport at the embassy and even bought me a ticket back home. As the plane landed, I took a deep breath. Finally, I could stop worrying. The literal feeling of coming back from the dead brought tears to my eyes. After saying goodbye to the auntie, I looked at a 20-hour-old message from Emily on my phone. She said to wait a few days for her to arrange someone to help me return. I smirked, not reaching out. I took a cab home alone. Besides, calling wouldn't make her come to pick me up. She'd just tell me to wait or handle it myself. Sometimes I wondered what this marriage was even for. Back home, I collapsed onto the bed, too exhausted to care. It had been a while since I'd had such a peaceful sleep. Some noise woke me. There was a man's laughter in the house. Confused, I walked out of the room to see Emily and John sitting on the couch. They were watching something on the laptop, looking cozy. As I walked behind them, they hadn't even noticed me. "What are you doing?" My sudden voice startled John. He jumped from the couch, looking at me nervously. "Sam, when did you get back? Why didn't you tell us?" It seemed that while I was gone, they had probably used friendship as a guise for other things. "So, why are you in my house?" I asked John, focusing on Emily instead. "He just got back, no place to stay, so I let him crash here." "Oh, Emily, How thoughtful you are. Your husband could wait amidst the chaos abroad, but you rushed home with a junior and let him stay at our place. Sam, John is young with no experience. I was just worried he'd encounter problems outside. What about me? When you left me alone in Country M, did you think about the trouble I might face? My words silenced her. Our apartment was very secure. What could possibly happen? Besides, Emily paused. You got back safely. Safe. I laughed bitterly at how ironic that sounded. After narrowly escaping death, to me it was safe. I lost any drive to argue with her. As I turned to leave, Emily grabbed my arm, attempting to calm or apologize. It won't happen again. You've had a long journey. Let me run you a hot bath, she offered. I pushed her hand away with a smile. No need to bother. I'm interrupting you guys. Sam, Emily frowned in displeasure. Stop being childish. The tension crept up the room. Suddenly, John spoke softly. Sam, Emily, it's my fault. I shouldn't have caused trouble between you. I'll move out right away. Please, don't let this affect your relationship. He scrambled to the guest room, packing his things as if gravely wronged. Emily and I stood in a stalemate in the living room. He's just a kid. Why bicker with him if he gets into trouble out there? I gave a half-hearted smile, struggling to muster any genuine emotion. Bitter smile. You can keep him company if you're worried. When John came out with his luggage, Emily got up and rushed to help him. I'll take him to find a hotel and come back later. With that, she slammed the door and left. Once again, Emily left me behind for someone else. I should be angry, but right now I feel eerily calm. So many years of indifference have worn down my feelings for her. Even when I see her favoritism, I'm unmoved. I poured myself a glass of water while sitting on the couch. My injured right arm was too weak to lift anything. The wound kept throbbing, even more so in the quiet night. Every time it hurt, I'd remember that day, how helpless and scared I felt. Emily returned in the middle of the night. She laid her coat over me, waking me up. Even though we're back home, I can't shake off the shadows of the past. I sleep on edge. Seeing me awake, she sat down next to me. Why aren't you sleeping in the bedroom? Too lazy to move. I pushed aside Emily's coat. It smelled like John's cologne, a reminder of how close they had been, which made me nauseous. Emily picked up the coat, looking more frustrated than anything. Leaving you there was my mistake, but you shouldn't take your anger out on others or question my relationship with John. Sam, I get your feelings, but don't go overboard. John and I are just colleagues. And since you're back, why didn't you tell me? I was worried. Worried? If you were really worried, you wouldn't have left me alone in the US for days on end. In the past, her sweet words might have calmed me, but seeing John at my house made me realize she never cared about me. If she wanted to, she'd know how to take care of people and protect them. I was the one chasing Emily all along, believing that if I could win over the person I love, it would be worth it. In this unequal relationship, she's always been above me. To help Emily study abroad, I even used family resources and stayed there with her, angering my parents. My father was so mad he cut off my finances. Later, when Emily proposed, I thought my sincerity had moved her. But years of marriage and she's still so cold. Leaving you alone was wrong, but I had an emergency that required me to come home immediately. John came back with me because of that. Oh, I see. Sam, what's with that attitude? I rubbed my aching shoulder, too exhausted to argue anymore. Sorry, it's late. I'm tired. Maybe I've been too easygoing in the past, so easy that she thinks I can be brushed off with a simple explanation. But now, I don't want to hear any more excuses from Emily. Ignoring her, I went to my room and locked the door. After hesitating for a while, I took a deep breath and opened my contacts, anxiously calling my mom. Hearing her familiar voice after so long brought tears to my eyes. Mom, I want a divorce. Everything I delayed for Emily, including giving up my family business, I don't want that anymore. I want my own life back. After opening up to my parents, they forgave my past stubbornness. My dad said once I sorted things out, he'd give me the chance to prove myself. Holding the phone, I agreed firmly. They even connected me with a top lawyer to prepare for the divorce. Thinking about the future, I fell asleep. That night, I slept peacefully. When the alarm went off, I got myself ready. In the living room, Emily was typing fast on her laptop. Hearing me, she surprisingly spoke kindly. "Have breakfast. I got you something." Suspiciously, I eyed the food on the table. It was peanut intestine noodles, really tempting. This was rare for Emily. I picked out all the peanuts with my chopsticks and dug in. Seeing the peanuts on the table, Emily was about to ask, but I explained straight away. "Oh, I'm allergic to peanuts, not picky. Don't misunderstand me." Emily looked shocked and mumbled, apologizing. I cut her off mid-sentence. "The noodles are good. Thank you." Seeing my good mood, Emily sat across from me. "Sam, about yesterday, I want to talk it out." "Really?" But before, whenever I wanted to share my feelings, Emily ignored me. I'd babble on and she'd tune me out. Sometimes, annoyed, she'd snap at me. "Can you shut up? You're so annoying." Even when she had time, she didn't care what I had to say. "We've lived together so long, and you still don't know my allergies? You don't care, so you don't notice. No need. Nothing to talk about. Are you upset about John? I promise not to let anyone else stay here. Doesn't matter. John's a young guy who needs care." My change in demeanor left Emily speechless. "Can't you just talk to me normally? What's with the attitude?" I saw the anger on her face and wondered what was wrong now. Was she mad because I didn't freak out like I used to, questioning why she brought another man home, throwing jealous fits? "I have things to do this morning. I'm heading out." With that, I cleaned up, grabbed my bag, and left, disregarding Emily's growing irritation. If we don't talk now, there's no need to talk later. She was met with only the sound of the door closing. My shoulder needed a checkup, so I signed up at a top hospital and waited patiently. Unfortunately, John was on duty that day. "Sam, are you sick?" "None of your business." I didn't want to interact with him. Coming to see a doctor alone is sad. "But hey, your sister's an exceptional woman and is always busier." "Lonely? Maybe. But if he thought a few sentences would get to me, he underestimated me. Couch surfing must be hard. Find a place to stay last night? Do you still need to crash at someone else's place secretly?" "I'm not doing it secretly." The senior agreed to let me stay over. The patients around started gathering when they heard there was gossip. Seeing all those curious eyes, I stood up and said to John, "You're saying Emily cheated and wants you living there as her lover?" John's face turned red with embarrassment. I heard my name being called and didn't feel like arguing, so I was about to leave. But John suddenly reached out and pressed on my shoulder. "Sam, how could you accuse me like that?" His hand hit my wound exactly. I winced and brushed his hand away with my left hand. I didn't even use much force, but he still stumbled back and fell to the floor. At that moment, Emily's voice came from behind me. "Sam, what are you doing to John again?" I turned around. The blood had already soaked through my white shirt, spreading across my shoulder. Emily's eyes were fixed on the glaring red stain. "When did you get hurt? Why didn't you tell me?" asked Emily. "What good would telling you do?" I didn't want to have a pointless conversation with her. She grabbed my hand, not letting me leave. "Emily, don't waste my time. I'm about to miss my number." I pulled my hand back and walked past Emily into the clinic. The doctor diagnosed me with nerve damage to my arm, likely to cause long-term issues. Holding things would be difficult. Hearing this, I was spaced out the whole time as the nurse treated my wound. If this complication never improves, it'll have some impact on my life. A slim white silhouette stopped in front of me. I looked up. It was Emily again. She stared at my wound, looking serious. "How did it get this bad?" she asked. I pulled my shirt back into place and replied calmly, "Got hurt during the riot." Her eyes turned red with urgency. "Why didn't you tell me? I'm your wife." I met her eyes with confusion. "Am I? You remember you've got a husband?" There was a time when I used to want to share everything with Emily, all my grievances. But she found me annoying, a bother. She wanted me to sort out things myself. Now that she wants to know, I have no interest in telling her anymore. "Sam, are you really going to be petty now, of all times?" Emily asked, clearly frustrated. "Emily, shouldn't you be at work? Don't you have patience waiting? I ignored her shocked expression. After dealing with my wound, I was ready to leave, but she stepped forward, blocking my way. Then wait for me to take some leave, we'll go home together. Okay? I decided to ignore her request altogether and impatiently brushed her hand away. Emily, are you serious right now? Emily's hand hesitated in midair. Who would have thought that such impatient words would be directed at her? Not by her. Sam, I'll come home after work to check on your wound. Okay? I pried Emily's hand off, walked out of the hospital with no hesitation. I really had urgent business, like meeting a lawyer to discuss my divorce. Sam, here's the draft divorce agreement I prepared for you. Let me know if there are any changes needed. Holding the agreement, I read it carefully. We don't have kids, which cuts down on complications. We could have had a child, though. In our first year of marriage, Emily got pregnant. But instead of being happy, she wasn't thrilled. She said her focus was on her studies at the moment, that it was better to terminate the pregnancy and wait until her career was stable. Despite my pleas, she went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy and got an IUD. I still remember waking up crying in the middle of the night over the lost child. While I was mourning, Emily stayed at the academy, leaving me home to cope alone. Only when I had gotten over it, making all sorts of concessions for her, did she return. It takes time for a relationship to reach its breaking point. Divorce was inevitable for Emily and me, just a matter of when I'd be hurt enough to end it. Looks good. Let's go with this one. Assets aren't a big deal to me. As long as we can divorce, anything is fine. After finishing with the lawyer, I didn't make it home till dusk. Walking in, I was immediately greeted by Emily's dark expression. She didn't mention checking my wound like she said she would. Instead, she interrogated me harshly. She slammed her phone on the coffee table, making a loud sound. Didn't expect my husband's busy day to involve meeting another woman, right? Seeing her anger, I noticed on her phone was a picture of me chatting with the female lawyer in a cafe. It's just coffee with a friend, I said. Sam, don't you owe me an explanation? She demanded, picked up her phone. As soon as I touched the screen, the photo shrank back, revealing the chat with John. Senior, I saw Sam with a strange woman. Read the message. So John had snapped the photo? No explanation needed, nothing happened. I didn't bring anyone home. Emily, still fuming, stopped short, eyes fixed on my hand. Your hand? Where's your wedding ring? I pawned it. When I was abroad, I needed cash. There was no money without pawning valuable things. Couldn't keep burdening Auntie. If you needed money, why not tell me? How could you pawn our ring? I tried looking for you. You said you were busy and to handle it myself. As she recalled her past words, Emily seemed uneasy. Which pawn shop? I'll get it back. I didn't answer. I took out the divorce papers from my bag and placed them on the coffee table. Seeing the word divorce, panic flashed in Emily's eyes. Divorce? Why? I didn't bother explaining any further. I wasn't here for negotiations. Just to inform her there was nothing left to talk about. Divorce was better for both parties. Sam, can you stop being dramatic? You can't scare me with divorce, she said. I halted, my back to her. I'm not being dramatic. I've already signed. Emily stepped forward to stop me, but I was quicker and locked the door. Ignoring her pleading outside, I gathered my things. Despite being married for years, life hadn't really changed. I barely bought new clothes, and my pack filled just right. Seeing our wedding photo on the nightstand, I took it out, cutting myself from it. Emily had flashed one of her rare smiles during the shoot, making me believe I was different, caught in fantasies of our future. Emily knocked a few more times. Suddenly, the phone rang outside. She declined a few calls, but the person kept persistently dialing. She had to answer it. It was John. I had no clue what the boy said, but Emily rushed off. After hearing the door close, I was just about to leave with my suitcase. My phone buzzed. It was Emily. Sam, I have something to deal with. Let's talk when I get back. I didn't respond, just got into the car headed home. The next day, I got woken up by the phone ringing like crazy. Emily was blowing up my phone. I said everything I needed to say yesterday. I just blocked her number. When she couldn't reach me, she even called using John's number. But I blocked them all. The days at home were busy. I had to get my mind set for work again. I'd lost a few years because of Emily. Getting back into the swing of things wasn't easy. I was swamped until an old classmate invited me to a reunion. A few of them were rising business stars, potential partners I was interested in. I gladly agreed to go. When I got there, everyone left a seat open next to me. All the other seats were taken. Something felt off. Sure enough, Emily showed up. She acted like everything was cool, sat next to me, and grabbed my hand. "Where have you been, honey? Let's head home together after this. Okay? It's your idea for the reunion." Before Emily could answer, the old classmate next to me piped up. "Sam, you were so determined to win Emily over back then. Managed to finally tie the knot, so why the divorce now?" Others chimed in too. "Yeah, couples fight on the bed, make up on the foot. Harmony brings wealth." I was getting annoyed, wanting to leave, but Emily wouldn't let go of my hand. Her tired eyes looked at me, as if asking how long I planned to keep this going. Everyone's eyes were on us. It was driving me crazy. I stood up abruptly and without saying goodbye, grabbed my coat and left. I yanked my hand free from Emily's grip, but hurt my old wound in the process. I winced from the pain. Emily saw something was wrong and let me go. As soon as I stepped out of the private room, the world felt quiet again. But Emily followed. "I have meds in the car. Let me take a look at your wound." "No need. I'll go to the hospital myself." "You won't even let me help a little, Sam? Why so heartless?" The pain in my shoulder was excruciating. I didn't want to say another word. Seeing I ignored her, Emily forcibly dragged me along despite my protest. Once inside the car, I kept resisting her touch. "Don't move. It's not a minor issue if your wound reopens." Emily applied the medicine carefully, afraid to hurt me. I remembered rushing home one rainy day to cook for her, slipping and cutting my knee open. I made it home, blood-stained and all, only to meet Emily's disgusted gaze. The wound hurt, and I begged her to help me with it. But she just coldly tossed me the first aid kit and went back to the study. "I have papers to read. Do it yourself." I was about to get out but realized Emily had locked the door. "Open the door. Let me out. Sam, let's go home. Okay?" "Emily, we're getting a divorce." "I don't agree to the divorce." I stared at her and suddenly asked, "Is torturing me like this fun for you? I never wanted to hurt you. I just want you back." It was only then I realized how childish and ridiculous the Emily I no longer loved really was. She didn't care how embarrassed I'd be, inviting our classmates to pressure me. She only thought about using their pressure to bring me back, never considering my position. "Don't make me hate you, Emily." I warned her one last time. She looked a bit confused and felt wronged. "Sam, why are you treating me like a stranger now?" Eventually, she gave in first, unlocking the door to let me leave. I called my car service and went straight back to the villa. Emily wasn't giving up, tailing me in her car. She underestimated my driver's skills, who lost her after a few turns. She not agreeing to the divorce meant nothing to me. After 2 years of separation, I could just file for divorce anyway. Right now, I just needed to get my career back on track. I'd lost too much time because of Emily. After getting back, I was put to work from the ground up again. Working in the company brought a fresh energy I hadn't felt in a while. The young folks in my department were around my age but much more cheerful. Thanks to them, I began leaving behind memories of the past. Work started to feel natural again. Everything was falling into place. I often forgot to eat, and a sudden stomachache forced me to the hospital. I made sure to pick one where Emily wouldn't be. Yet, while getting my meds, I ran into John. Turned out they were invited to a forum these days. When he noticed me, he wasn't too happy. He blocked my way. "Sam's still around, huh? Thought you'd run off with some woman." With my stomach already upset, I didn't have the energy to engage. I tried to move past him, but he wouldn't budge. Instead, he escalated, sneering as he got closer. "So now you're playing hard to get? Emily's like a ghost because of you. If you have any sense, let her go." "John, I don't have time to talk about women right now. Get out of my way." John had no intention of retreating. You won't be smug for long. Emily will divorce you and marry me. His eyes showed his pride, revealing a smug arrogance. True, Emily's favoritism got him strutting. Fine, just have her sign the divorce papers. I've been waiting a long time. I left quickly. John shouted at my back. Emily's pregnant. It's mine. Though I'd long been let down by Emily, hearing that still made my steps falter. It was so ironic. We'd only just brought up divorce a couple of months ago, and now she's pregnant? They must have been sneaking around for a while. The thought made me gag, feeling disappointed and disgusted with myself for ever loving someone like that. Just as I got out of the hospital, I bumped into the last person I wanted to see. Emily looked pale. She rushed over to hug me, but I pushed her away. Sam, did you come looking for me? I looked at her, feeling nothing but disdain. Emily took a diamond ring out of her pocket without a word. It was the one I pawned overseas. Look, I got the wedding ring back. Can we go back and be happy again? Go back? How can we go back to how things were? That kid you're having isn't even mine. Hearing the word pregnant, Emily panicked for a split second. It was just an accident. Don't worry, I'll get rid of it. No need. Abortions are hard on the body. We're getting a divorce anyway. I stepped around Emily, ready to leave. If you don't like John, I'll cut ties with him. Sam, please don't go. Even without John, we'd still be getting a divorce. Haven't you figured out why? Emily angrily messed up her hair. We were fine before. How did it come to divorce? I grabbed the ring from Emily's hand and threw it into the street. Cars crushed it to pieces, just like our relationship, broken and beyond repair. Emily wanted to pick it up but didn't stand a chance. Let's get divorced. I'm sick of feeling disgusted by her. She never understood how selfish she was. How can someone so self-centered understand another's feelings? Our years together, how can you leave them behind? Years? You've wasted 6 years of my life. I don't want you to ruin any more of it. Let me go, okay? No, Sam, we loved each other so much. How can you say it was a waste? Love? Then tell me, do we have any happy memories? Emily drew a blank, thinking for a long time but couldn't come up with anything. What she thought was love was just a facade built on my sacrifices. I dealt with the loneliness while she enjoyed the show. Is there really no chance of reconciliation? None. If I could, I wish I'd never met you. With that, I walked away without a second glance. A month later, Emily and I picked up our divorce papers at the courthouse. She looked visibly gaunt and tired, with bloodshot eyes. I'm sorry, Emily said. It was my fault in the past for letting you down. I didn't have time to hear confessions. I took the divorce papers and left. My career was on an upswing. I had too much on my plate to dwell on the past. 2 years later, thanks to my skills, I climbed to a management position in the company. A stable career helped me find life's meaning again. My parents were over the moon with pride. I was meant to shine like this. With success, more people pursued me, but once was enough to make me wary of marriage. I adopted an adorable cat as part of my new family. When I saw Emily again, she looked different, carrying a child, a special needs boy. If not for the conspicuous ring on her hand, I might not have recognized her. I heard that after our divorce, she quickly married John. But John was suspicious by nature, always checking up on Emily's whereabouts, leaving her at her wit's end. She lost her job because of a surgical mistake and had to stay home, only to find out John had an affair with his boss. Sensing my gaze, she turned and saw me. Her face went pale, eyes teary. I pretended I didn't see her and rolled up the car window, signaling the driver to go. For the rest of my life, we won't cross paths again. I've got my own bright future ahead of me,